All right. So we are live. Let's go share this all around. And then we'll get started here. There we go. Showing up on the old business page. For those of you who are joining in, just a reminder, we are on a delay. So I'm going to have to be looking back and forth between the actual program that I'm streaming this on and then the page here. Get that going. Cool. There it is. Here. All right. Okay. Here we are. So here's the plan. What we're going to do, I've got a lot of my basic meals set up, and I'm just going to go through what I do more or less every weekend. The whole overarching theme, the best way to make this thing a success is to plan, to set it all up, to go step by step, and don't just wing it. Because the more you wing it, the more likely you are to burn something or cook something that tastes like crap. So, let's see here. Go like this. All right. So basically what my week looks like, I get done here at the office. On Saturday is typically when I'll do my grocery shopping, either Saturday or sometime early Sunday morning. And more or less, I kind of get the same stuff. If you'll watch right down here, that is the basic grocery list that I get every week. Now, some stuff will always be on there. Some stuff won't always be on there. Let's see here. Sorry, someone is actually texting me a question right now. Oh, technology. So, yeah, more or less, it's the same stuff over and over again because I found out, might be a really weird way to say it, all food is the same. The ingredients are always the same. It really just comes down to the preparation and the seasoning that determines what it is that you end up eating. So, again, down here, this is the basic stuff that I get every single week. Typically, it's either Saturday or early Sunday morning because I like to start my meal prep on Sunday by 8 or 9 in the morning because that way I can be done by noonish on Sunday and still have the rest of the day to do stuff. So, let's see here. Let's start with this. So this here, the top picture, top picture, that's where I started, right? About 2 years ago. This bottom picture, this is what my meal prep looks like now. So at the top here, I mean, basically I started off just throwing everything onto a pan, covering it in olive oil, and throwing it in the oven for, half an hour at 400 degrees. And it wasn't bad on Monday and Tuesday. And then come Wednesday, the quality kind of went downhill. Thursday, it was even worse. Friday and Saturday was unedible. But we all start somewhere, right? So this bottom picture here, whoop, there we go. That's what we're working with now on a regular basis. So we go through here. Next. Hide that one. So like I was saying, large majority of it, it's all about the prep work. That's what's going to set you up for success. That's going to make this a whole lot easier. Okay. So top picture here. This is what a typical haul looks like for groceries. Okay. And then the other pictures here, best thing you can do. I mean, part of me started to put them into bowls like this strictly for aesthetics. So I could take pictures and show you guys how awesome I am. However, it literally makes the whole process way easier. You take everything out of the fridge, you set it on the counter. You cut it up, you put it in its own individual bowls, so that way it's ready to go into the pan when it's time to cook. Again, preparation is going to make the most out of this whole thing. So let's get into some recipes. Basically, what I do, my go-to things for meal prep. Now, had a couple of questions leading up to this. Where do I get my inspiration? If we go back here, if we go back to this one, the top picture here, that came from a place called, I think it was like Chelsea's Messy Apron or Chrissy's Messy Apron. It just had a whole bunch of sheet pan meals. So that's where it started. Now, what I typically do on a regular day-to-day basis, it's went into Guys Grocery Games. It went into The Pioneer Woman. Basically, I would watch shows on Food Network. I'd see what they were cooking, and I would make that, or I would attempt to make that. So, recipes here. First one, every week. If any of you guys follow me, you will see that there are fajitas made every single week. Easiest thing you do. Onions, peppers, and your choice of meat, right? I found andouille sausage tastes delicious with fajitas. So I'll cook up the fajitas. I'll cook up the fajitas first. I'll season them. Here's the fajita seasoning I use. I used to just use like packaged taco seasoning. And my wife told me, she's like, hey, you can just make your own seasoning. Well, damn it, turns out I can. Cool, not bad. What I'll do, I'll cook all this stuff up, and I'll have sausages that are cooking, or andouille sausages cooking in the oven, and I'll just cut them up and put them in there. So let's see here. Ooh, one other thing too that I didn't put in this presentation, my little secret. First and foremost, if we go back to our prep, let's see here. You see tucked right up over here, right by the asparagus and the green peppers, is a pack of bacon. That's my secret. So fajitas are every week. Bacon wrapped asparagus is every week. Because what ends up happening is I use half a pack of bacon to wrap up the asparagus. And then the other half, I chop up into little pieces and I cook it up. And then the bacon fat that renders out, every vegetable that I cook is tossed in bacon fat. That's how you make vegetables delicious. You coat them in liquid bacon. There's my secret. Oh, another recipe. Bacon wrapped asparagus is literally just that. Bacon and asparagus. I don't season it or anything. It is what it is. And so what's your recipe for that? It's those two things, bacon and asparagus. So go back to the fajitas here. Again, simplest thing you can make. And when you're cooking the vegetables, undercook them. Actually, with everything, undercook it slightly. Because what are you going to do when you warm it up? You're going to cook it. So take everything off the heat, off the stove, out of the oven, slightly before it's done. Now, when is that? You'll have to figure it out. Also, with that being said, all these different ingredients here, Dr. Taylor, how much of this do you use? How much of that do you use? How much pepper or salt or paprika? I don't know. I don't measure anything. It is both a blessing and a curse. I've never made the same thing twice. I've attempted the same thing twice, but it's never turned out the same. So let's go to the next one here. What we got coming up? Stir fry. Get rid of this. Actually, this is something I'm eating this week here. Bell peppers, onions, broccoli, and mushrooms. Then again, your choice of meat. Again, literally, every cuisine, every dish is the same thing. It's just a matter of how you season it. So the stir fry seasoning, salt, pepper, garlic. Again, this is going to be a very common theme in all this stuff. And then basil, soy sauce, Worcestershire. The secret for this, sesame oil. In my mind, again, I'm not a chef. I'm not a culinary expert. Sesame oil and soy sauce is what makes it taste like stir fry. So you take the stir fry seasoning, you mix that all up first into a measuring cup. You take all the vegetables, you throw them into the pan, you do a little bit of sesame oil because it can get soupy real quick. Start to fry it up on a high heat, and then pour over the rest of the stir fry sauce and go from there. Again, take it off slightly before it's done so everything still has a crunch in it. Because the crunchier it is when it comes off, the crunchier it's going to be at the end of the week when you're eating it on Thursday, Friday, into Saturday. But again, it's really simple. just fry it up. And the thing that makes it taste to me like stir fry is the soy sauce and the sesame oil. One of my other little secrets too is get chow mein noodles. I call them crunchies. So when you take them out, when you take these things out of the fridge, throw them into the microwave, warm it up, crush up some of those little chow mein noodles, those little crunchies, and sprinkle it on there. That'll give you some of that texture and some of that bite if you end up eating this again on a Thursday, Friday, something like that. All right, next one here. This one came specially requested by Kadima. So my ribs. The ingredients, ribs. Typically, what I do is I get a slab of baby back ribs and then I trim them myself. I square them up so that way I've got the ribs that are a St. Louis cut and then I've got the rib tips. Now, as far as the seasonings go here, coat the whole thing in yellow mustard. Very thin layer. And then basically all this stuff here. Again, salt, pepper, garlic. That probably goes on dang near everything I make. Sometimes I'll let the ribs soak in bourbon or a little bit of Worcestershire. Again, a little chili powder, a little paprika, a little stevia. And then there's an applewood rub that I get from Sam's Club. I sprinkle that on very lightly. I get the sweetness actually from stevia. You notice my rib rub doesn't have brown sugar in it. A lot of the stuff I make, not a lot, all the stuff I make is low or no carb. Okay. So what's brown sugar going to do? It's going to spike the carbs up. You can use a very little bit of stevia and get the same amount of sweetness in your rub here. Let's see here. All right. Just looking through this. We got some questions and stuff coming in. Another secret we got going on here. I don't know if you guys can see my mouse or not, but I don't think so. You see how we have this set up? So this isn't a smoker. This is not in an oven. If you've got a smoker and it's a vertical one like this, I stumbled across this, turned out magnificent. Sweet potatoes, salt, pepper, garlic, paprika, toss them in bacon fat, just like every other vegetable. And if you put them in the smoker, put them underneath the ribs because everything that's going to drip off the ribs is going to fall right onto those potatoes. It's fantastic. When the potatoes are done, take them out of the smoker, put them in the oven under the broiler for a hot minute, no pun intended, and it'll caramelize all those sweet rib juices onto those potatoes, and it'll make sweet potatoes even more edible than they already are. So this is my smoker recipe for the ribs. What I'll do, I'll put it at about 275 for about 2 hours, take it out, wrap it up, another hour or so. I try to take the ribs off somewhere around between 200 and 210. All right, let's see what else we got going on here. Next recipe. Let's try this again. Next recipe. Chicken cacciatore, give or take. Again, not really Italian. I'm not any Italian. So this is probably a bastardization. Chicken cacciatore, what? Chicken, right? I prefer dark meat. So chicken thighs, chicken legs, all day long here. Basically, again, bell peppers, onions, mushrooms, kind of a base for basically everything that we're making here. But then to get to the, I guess, cacciatore part, I don't even know. Can of stewed tomatoes, make sure you drain them, otherwise this turns into soup. Can of diced tomatoes, drain them, otherwise this turns into soup. And then tomato paste. So you mix that all together, you put it in there. Basically what I do is I sear the chicken first, then I'll put it in there and it'll finish cooking in this pan. The way to make this really good is to let it simmer on a medium heat for as long as you can. So basically, I don't know if you guys watch when I cook, I basically only use one burner. So if I'm making this, I'm using the second burner, I'm getting this prepped first, and then I'm letting it just sit there while I cook everything else. So the longer this simmers, the more it'll thicken up and the less likely it'll be like soup. So again, the salt, pepper, garlic, oregano, Worcestershire, how much? I don't know. I put enough in until I hear the voices of my ancestors go, that's plenty. So next one here, sold that for my wife. She's a clever girl. That's why she gets a ring. All right. Next one. Aha! Speaking of my people, as you can see from my lovely complexion, it's pretty safe to say that I'm Eastern European. Polish. So, Polish sausage. One of the best things you can eat in the wintertime. Put it in a crock pot. You chop up some onions. You put the sausages in. You get just a whole jar of sauerkraut. Drain it out and dump the whole thing into the crock pot. You put it on low and you let it cook for about 4 to 6 or maybe 8 hours. Don't puncture the sausage or anything like that. Some people say yes, some people say no. I say no. So on top of the sauerkraut, that's where you put slice up some onions, put those on there. And the seasoning, salt, pepper, garlic, cloves, not garlic salt or garlic powder. Garlic cloves, just take them, smash them up, and put them in there just so you can kind of break them or bruise them. And then Worcestershire and a little sprinkle of paprika on the top. If you want, ditch the paprika, a little dusting of brown sugar. Also delicious. Like I said, you put it in the crock pot and you let it sit there for like 6 hours. It's fantastic. You take it out. You got to take it out with like 2 pairs of tongs at the same time because those sausages are going to fall apart. But take it out and you eat it with a spicy brown mustard. Or worst case scenario, a regular yellow mustard. You put ketchup on this, I'm going to find you and punch you in the mouth. No ketchup. But, man, this will warm your soul on a cold winter day. Next one. All right. Some side dishes. Okay. Let's see here. This is something I've gotten into a lot lately. Bastardizations of other cultures' meals using riced cauliflower. Kind of like cultural appropriation, but worse. Not worse bad, but worse because I don't know how to cook very well. Anyway, so got a couple things going on here. This is my rice cauliflower food. Again, obviously rice cauliflower. What's next? Bell peppers, onions, mushrooms. I mean, it's literally, those are great fillers. Because why are we meal prepping in the first place? So we know what we're eating, right? And basically to portion control and eat less. So those things take up a lot of space in your stomach, and they have very low calories and 0 or no or very low carbs. So rice cauliflower, bell peppers, onions, mushrooms. Now, if I'm doing my my poor man's Cajun rice, I'll throw some black beans in there, maybe some spinach, again some celery for some crunch, and some zucchini for some crunch. And then seasoning, salt, pepper, garlic, the usual, and then oregano. Again, if I'm going a Creole route, I'll put some Creole seasoning or some basil on there. And I throw those in the oven, 425. Everything that's cooked in the oven is cooked at 425, and it's taken out when it's done. More often than not, at least 15 minutes, and then you check on it periodically throughout. But again, fantastic side. It takes up space in your stomach. It takes up space in your dishes, and it'll make you feel full. Another thing, talking about prep. When I'm going through all this, I eat my vegetables first. So that way, the meat is the last thing that goes in, and then I feel full. So if I'm taking up a bunch of space with vegetables already, cool. And then I can pile a chicken thigh on top of that or pile some ribs on top of that. Then I feel satiated. I don't feel hungry when I'm finished eating. But again, this riced cauliflower, you can put anything in with riced cauliflower. It's going to take up more space in your stomach, and it's going to make you feel full. And you'll come in under your macro count. You'll come in under your calorie count. You'll come in under your carb count. Next one here. Ooh, all right. So, jambalaya. Again, white kid from Minnesota. So, this is a bastardization of gumbo and jambalaya. Chicken thighs or shrimp, because again, these are chicken or seafood dishes. Andouille sausage, bell peppers, onions, mushrooms, stewed tomatoes, diced tomatoes, and tomato paste. It's a lot like chicken cacciatore. You just season it differently. So again, like I said a few times already, it's basically all food is the same. it really just comes down to how you season it. Again, this is coming from someone who's not a trained cook. But, so, the key with this, just like the chicken cacciatore though, is simmer. Because if you look at this picture, you can tell this is not sitting on the middle of the stove, it's sitting in the back. So again, put all this stuff in. If we're doing shrimp goes in raw. Chicken, if we're doing chicken, I will brown that first, and then basically it'll finish cooking in there. But if shrimp, it goes in raw, and it just sits on the back of the stove and simmers for a good hour or so while I'm cooking everything else. Again, jambalaya seasoning, salt, pepper, garlic. Kind of getting a hint here. Oregano, some Worcestershire, bay leaves. One thing I forgot on here, Creole seasoning. Again, white kid from Minnesota, put some Zatarain's on it. Poof, now it's Cajun. Sorry to real Cajuns. Next one here. Ooh, this was another request. Got there. This is my spaghetti squash pad thai. So, secret with this one. First of all, you get the spaghetti squash, cut it in half, you gut it out, salt, pepper, garlic, oil, put it in the oven and roast it. The night before, you take it out, you let it sit open. Basically, you let it dry out. If you don't let it dry out, then the noodles are going to become all soupy. But, so you cook the asparagus? You cook the spaghetti squash the night before. You let it sit out. You don't tear it up or nothing like that. And then when it comes to making the pad thai stuff, again, peppers, onions, mushrooms, put it in there. Again, so you get a little sesame oil, because that's, again, in my mind, what makes it Asian. Now, the pad thai sauce, salt, pepper, garlic, soy sauce, fresh lime is going to be the key with this one, and a little bit of peanut butter, a little bit like a tablespoon. And then you mix that all up. Ooh, another thing I forgot to put on here, honey. So, salt, pepper, garlic, soy sauce, lime, sesame oil, peanut butter, and honey. And you mix that all up. So you cook the vegetables and stuff like that, and then you throw the spaghetti squash in there with it. You put all the sauce in throughout there. Boom. Spaghetti squash pad thai. You're welcome, Michelle. Let's see here. Next one. Ooh, another side dish. Cool. Cauliflower fried rice. We got just regular fried rice here. We got shrimp fried rice. Again, little sesame oil, salt, pepper, garlic. Throw it in there. Fry it up. And then right when it's about done, make a hole in the middle. Crack an egg into it. Poof. Now it's fried rice. Again, you want to put a little crunch in there, put a celery stalk in there, something like that. Chop that up nice and fine. The secret with this, if you're using rice cauliflower, let the rice cauliflower thaw out, put it into a washcloth, and squeeze it out. There's a lot of water in cauliflower. So if you want it to actually be like fluffy like fried rice, you got to get all that water out and let it kind of drain first. But again, the sesame oil, a little bit of soy sauce, makes it taste like fried rice to me. Texture's fine. The ingredients are fine. Sorry, not taking calls right now. All right, next one here. One thing too, just kind of play around with this stuff, because that's how you're gonna learn. So this here is, again, kind of where I started. This is doing just put every now and then you get lazy. I don't want to spend 3 hours cooking. I don't want to do all the work. Cool. I'm just gonna put everything on a pan, throw it in the oven at 425, and I'll take it out when it's done. This bottom picture here, this is a fun little experiment. These are bacon wrapped meatloafs. Get yourself a big muffin tin, look up a meatloaf recipe, make it, and then put it in little balls and line the muffin tins with bacon. Cook it. Bacon fat renders out, keeps everything nice and moist. It's delicious. I should do that again. I haven't done that in a while. Another one here. Change your pace. You don't have to do everything in the kitchen. You can do some stuff on the grill. Again, you got bacon wrapped asparagus here. In the tin foil is tin foil potatoes. So it's basically just a bunch of tiny little red potatoes. Mushrooms, onions, pepper, Again, notice your plan or pattern, and then a lot of butter. Cook it off when it's done, or take it off when it's done. Fun fact, I don't hang around with people who eat their steaks well done. And then let's see here. Is that all? Are we through here? Yeah, cool. That's about it. Let's see here. Not a whole lot of questions going on. So yeah, I mean, we'll stay on here for a little bit. If anyone's got any questions about the seasonings or anything like that, again, I don't measure anything. It's a lot of just sprinkling it on, waiting for the voices of my ancestors to say, that's plenty. And I go from there. Because the whole goal of this thing is really, it's portion control and knowing what you're eating, right? Because at least for me, one of the biggest things that I would do is if I didn't have something pre-cooked for me, well, then I'm not going to cook it. Then I'm stopping at, Chick-fil-A or, Rosa's and getting a whole mess of tacos or something like that. But if you got food at home that all you have to do is throw it in the microwave because it's all ready to go, you're going to do so much better at whatever your goals are as far as whether it's dieting or bulking or this, that, or the other. On top of that, if you got a family of 4, it's really cool. When you can get home, you can throw everybody's food into the microwave because it's all done, and you can sit down and eat. Cleanup is a breeze, and you're set and ready to go. You got a picky eater? Like, I don't know, let's say you live with a 3-year-old and a 1-year-old. Cool. Cook an extra sausage. They love that stuff. Let's see here. How do you warm? Microwave. Everything's done in the microwave after it's done on the stovetop. You got here. Other than that, yeah, throw in the microwave for about, a minute and a half, 2 minutes, give or take. For those of you who just joined, one of the questions I had before was, how do you make it so the vegetables don't get soggy? Everything you cook, take it off before it's done. Don't cook everything like you're going to put it onto a plate and eat it right then. Because you're not. Obviously, you're going to put it into Tupperware containers and you're going to put it in your fridge. So take everything off before it's actually finished, because it'll finish cooking in that last 2 minutes when you throw it in the microwave on Wednesday afternoon when you come home. Let's see here. All right. Other than that, don't see a whole lot of the questions rolling in here. Hope you guys got some inspiration. Hope you got some ideas. Again, I get my ideas from Facebook. I get my ideas from Tasty. Check out that app. Yeah, and the Food Network. Pioneer Woman. She's got some good stuff. Other than that, thanks for joining, guys. Really appreciate it. Hope you got something out of this. Worst case scenario, watch this again. Go through the recipes. I don't measure anything, so don't ask. You guys have a great rest of your day. Have a great weekend. I'll be posting my meal prep on Sunday, like usual. If you guys haven't followed us yet, Instagram, Facebook, all these pictures come from the posts that I do every single week. If you have any questions, by all means, feel free to ask. Take it easy. We'll see you later. Oh, no, just forgot. One more recipe that I did not put on here that was asked of me. Old-fashioned. 3 different kinds. Whiskey old-fashioned, brandy old-fashioned, Scotch old-fashioned. So, start with a sugar cube. Put it into the bottom of the cup, and then a little bit of bitters, and a little aromatic bitters, and a little bit of orange bitters. Swirl that around, get the sugar cube soft, smash it up. Take a, I can't remember the type of cherries, the dark cherries, not the red ones. I don't know, whatever. Go to the liquor store, they'll know what you're talking about. Put a cherry in there, smash that up too. Let that kind of sit and soak. Whatever your drink is, brandy, whiskey, or scotch, put it in there, swirl it around, let the sugar dissolve. While that's happening, take an orange rind, cut off the orange, give it a little twist, and then go around the inside of the glass. Then get yourself a torch, light a piece of cedar on fire. Put the glass on top of the cedar. Flame will go out. The orange rind, the oils on the inside will give the smoke something to stick to. So, while that's sitting on top of the fire, go back to the mix. Basically, take ice, put it in there, swirl it around. Your goal is to chill the drink. Take the glass off the cedar plank, strain the drink in there. Ice cube, another fresh cherry. Man, I wish I could remember what those are. This is the dark red ones. I want to say it starts with an L. Whatever. Luxardo. There it is. Another fresh cherry in there. That same orange rind, put that back in there. And then put a little floater on there with Sprite. Why Sprite? Because that's how they drink them in Wisconsin. You really want a Wisconsin old fashioned, it's going to be brandy and a little bit of Sprite. However, if you get a nice scotch, a lot of people out there don't agree with this. I don't care. I use my money to buy my scotch, so I'm going to drink it the way I want to drink it. And I like to drink it in a smoked glass in an old fashioned. I recommend any Isla scotch, specifically Lagavulin. There we go. Those are all Dr. Taylor's recipes. You have any other questions or you see something on the post that we haven't come across, shoot me a message. I'm more than happy to help you out. So that's it now. Enjoy your weekend. I got to go to the liquor store. I'll talk to you later. Bye.